Good afternoon, Michael Garcia with the Hispanic Vote. We're going to continue our series of interviews with elected officials and community leaders. So today we have the pleasure of having Vice Mayor of Coconut Creek, Josh Rydell here. And Josh is running for the state attorney race. So we're interviewing some of the candidates in that race, and we want to thank Vice Mayor for coming out. So the purpose of these interviews is really to highlight the candidate's background so our viewers can understand a little bit more of the candidates so they can make an informed decision. So Josh, thank you for coming out. Are you married?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me and doing this. In the current state of the world, I think getting messages out there via the internet, via video, I think was one of the best things. So kudos to you and the organization for doing this. Am I married? The answer is yes. I'm married. We actually, during this pandemic, for lack of a better term, we celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
So I'm married to my wife 10 years this year, and we have two daughters, two little girls, 4 and 8.
Okay. Obviously, you live in Coconut Creek. Your background, are you originally from Florida or transplant or?
Not originally from Florida. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. So I was born and raised in the city of Buffalo, which is western New York. But if you tell people, I get the New York sense. So when I tell people I'm from New York, they say where, and I say Buffalo, and they go, that's not New York, that's more like Canada. So I get that a little bit.
Are you a Bills fan?
Die hard.
You still a Bills fan?
Die hard.
Okay.
And anyone who's still a Bills fan, it says something about their character.
No, it's just because you went through a slump for a very long time, but I think you guys are on the uptick right now.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope so. Some of the things that have changed. But I'm born and raised in Buffalo. I went to the University of Delaware for undergraduate. I came down to Nova Southeastern for law school, so I got my law degree, graduated with my JD, and passed the bar in 2006.
So you never left once you?
Nope.
You didn't want to go back to the cold weather?
No, my parents came down here, retired. My brother is a restaurateur in the South Florida area, so he owned some restaurants and things of that nature. So the whole family kind of came down here and merged together. Originally, my grandparents were all down here. They're no longer with us. Okay. But that was a big reason the family kind of moved down here.
And it wasn't the weather either?
I mean, I'm from Buffalo, so I would be happy being in a place that I never see snow again.
Okay. So Josh, tell us a little bit about, obviously you're an attorney. What type of practice do you currently have?
Okay. When I got out of law school, I spent 2 years at the Broward County Public Defender's Office. Okay. I spent 2 years there. I got the bug in law school for kind of criminal justice. Okay. Went to the Public Defender's Office for 2 years, and then I left there and opened up my own law firm. Okay. Where I've been a sole practitioner ever since. And I've done everything. Really, a bulk of our business is state criminal defense work. Okay. We also do federal criminal defense work. I do a lot of administrative representations and Florida bar work. Okay. So lawyers that may have hiccups or issues with that, I help a lot of lawyers.
That's a nice way to put it, a hiccup.
Well, the other side of that is law students. Okay. I mean, in the day and the age of, I got little kids. I mean, your kids are a little bigger, but I think a fear is, if I did something when I was 10 years old, you're never going to see it again. And with the age of the internet, changes that. So I think with the Florida bar really goes through student applicants and prospective applicants very significantly. And a lot of times, students and law students need guidance on that process, and it's tricky.
No.
So sometimes it's a hiccup, sometimes it's more, to say the least.
How long have you been elected official in Coconut Creek?
Okay, so I ran for office in 2015. The election was in 2015. I was running much like this race about a year plus before. Okay. So in 2014, we were in an active campaign. There was an open seat in the city of Coconut Creek. I ran successfully, and we won in 2015 in the municipal cycle. And I was, at the time, I think the third youngest elected official in Broward. I was 33 when I got elected. Okay. So it was pretty good because we brought a very good dynamic to Coconut Creek and what we were able to do. Okay. I had your endorsement in that election.
Yes, we did endorse you in that election. Obviously, we're in this pandemic. How has COVID-19 affected your campaign, and what adjustments have you made?
I mean, really, I think kind of priority shifted a little bit for me. Okay. Obviously, campaigns are important. The electorate process is important. But I think when this started happening, a lot of my attention was not really so campaign-based, it was city-based, which is my job still. Yeah. And we tried to be ahead of the curve. We were one of the first municipalities to kind of have a curfew, for lack of a better term, not because we thought crime was going to run rampant, but just to try to tell your residents the seriousness of what was coming.
Okay.
And we've tried to do a lot of things on the city side of promoting our small businesses, doing creative measures to really help people. And one of the measures we just did is we have a community development grant that if you're a new business coming to Coconut Creek, you can apply for your rent to be paid.
Okay.
And for the first year you're there, we actually shifted all those funds to rent abatement program, so that if you're a struggling small business owner, you can apply to the city and you can actually have your rent paid. So it goes a little above and beyond what the federal government did, but just to help the lifeblood of a small business.
So that's a good. I want to ask you about that. So before COVID, you had a program to entice businesses to come and to.
Yeah, I mean, entice and support, because a lot of times local people want to,
Okay, so now because of COVID, now you're giving businesses that are struggling some type of relief. Okay, and how much is there a cap on that? Is there a website? Because and I'm glad you mentioned it, because the city of Margate is doing something similar. So can you expand?
I have a lot of friends in that city. The current mayor, Tommy Rosano.
Okay.
One of their commissioners, Antonio Arcerio.
Yeah.
These are all kind of brainstorm things, all of us as elected officials, and a lot of these calls happen all the time. How could you support your business? So we took our money from different pots.
Okay.
Where Margate got their funds, they took it from a little pot. We had earmarked $250,000 for this fund.
Okay.
On our first round of funding, it's a $2,500 will go right to your rent payment in the city, and that's not a loan. We're giving money.
A grant.
That's a grant. So we're giving money to our businesses in conjunction with our regional chamber of commerce as well.
Okay.
To try to make sure the businesses that need it get the support they need, because I think building the economy up, we need to do that.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your community involvement. Obviously, I know you're involved with COVID, but prior to COVID, what community involvement that you've been involved with?
There's a lot of things that I've done throughout, not just in my city, but in neighboring cities. Before COVID, there's a lot to list. There's a program through the Boys and Girls Club with Upson, and it's run by JM Lexus. It's the Junior Automotive Training Academy. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
It's a youth YATC. It's called the Youth Automotive Training Center. It's run up in Deerfield Beach, and it teaches at-risk youth and things of that nature to a trade.
Okay.
Really. We've been involved in that organization for a number of years, helping any of those kids on a pro bono basis that may have some hiccups with the law, being a mentor. I've spoken at a lot of troubled youth and education structures and groups and mentorship programs. We have a business in the city, not a business, it's a charitable organization. It's called SOS Children's Village. Okay. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
I was involved in that well before I decided to even run for office in Coconut Creek. And it's a unique street. So picture a residential street.
Okay.
And all the houses are essentially foster houses.
Okay.
And they foster about 100 kids, and what makes it really unique is they have a 100% graduation rate from high school. So anyone in the program, 100% graduates. And even more unique is it's the only type of foster facility in all of Broward that focuses its attention on actually keeping siblings together. Okay. So I've been very involved in a lot of, I'll say regional operations and regional organizations on the community side, just because that's kind of where I lived. Okay. But I've never shied away from any involvement, and COVID has kind of changed that.
So I just wanted to touch, is that in Coconut Creek, or where's that program is, that SOS is specifically?
It's a nationwide program, but their local village, what they call it, the SOS village is in a residential area in the city of Coconut Creek.
Okay, that's very interesting. I'm glad, that's why we do these interviews, because it's things like that people don't know, that they may be interested to help. So, the state attorney race. What's your position on the office regarding diversity? Is there enough diversity? Yes, no? And if there isn't, what would you do to bring more diversity to the race? I mean, to the office. If you're like, if you're successful and you win, right? What?
I have a unique perspective because I've never worked there. Okay. I think I'm the only guy in this race. The only person in this race that has never worked there. There may be one other that has never worked for Mike Satz at some point in their career.
Probably because it's like 10 people, so I don't. But
it's a very busy race. But I will tell you, I've never worked for Mike Satz. I've never worked in the Broward State Attorney's office. Okay. So some people think that's a good thing, and some people think it's a bad thing. I can't tell you that, but that's my experience, and people are going to judge it how they want to judge it. But I can tell you about the system. Okay. I've been in the criminal justice system for 15 years.
Okay.
I even interned in that building 2 years before I even passed the bar. Okay. So the system, the state attorney's office, the public defender's office, I can tell you the public defender's office is a more diverse place to work than the state attorney's office. Do we need more diversity? The answer is of course. Do we need a real cross-section of the community working in all of our government entities? I believe unequivocally, yes, we do.
Okay.
But I think we also need better training coupled directly with diversity.
Okay.
And I think specifically, really, with what the goal of any large government office is, Broward's unique. I mean, Broward, you can go 15 miles one way or the other and feel like you're in a completely different community.
Yeah.
It's one of the most unique counties, I think, you know, probably in Florida at least, but nationwide with how diverse it is.
Yes, it is.
And we need to understand that all of those different areas, maybe that don't just have city labels, but all those different areas that don't transcend municipal boundaries are represented by the prosecutor's office, and the state attorney's office understands those communities. So I think we could do a much better job at that.
Okay. If elected, what's your major change that you would bring to the state attorney's office if you're elected? Yeah. I know you probably have a list of things that you want to change, because I think all the candidates do. But before you answer that, before I forget, would you please tell people your website and your social media, because obviously this interview is not all encompassing, so I want people to check you out, check your platform out and everything. So please tell everybody.
We'll cue the banner on the bottom.
yes.
It's www.joshuarydell.com, JOSHUARYDELL.com, or you can Google my name, Joshua Rydell. That's going to come up with probably other websites, my law firm, the city, but look for Joshua Rydell for state attorney. But that is the website. You can also find us on Facebook as well.
Okay. So now, since you gave that and people can check your platform out and stuff like that, what is the one thing you want to change? Your number one on your priority list? Do you have something?
Yeah, that I think would be the best to mention in this moment. I think I have 3 immediate policy types of changes that we can make day one. But I don't think really the policy, you could look on my website, and I've spoken on a number of like Facebook Lives and Zoom conferences. I think day one action is bringing in kind of the right culture.
Okay.
And let me explain that. I think in the city of Coconut Creek, we have something called Creek culture. We have employees that don't leave. We have people that are happy to work there. We have investments in our employees. We have employee wellness packages. It's not just saying, oh, I love the job. It's also loving where you work.
Okay.
And I think a big priority of mine, not just modifying policies to keep Broward safer, is actually creating a really good culture. Creating a fruitful, positive culture that transcends communities. And when I say culture, I'm talking about getting into communities, getting into education, getting into service, and really being an office that has the ability to change the culture of this county. And I think it could start there.
Okay. How's the campaign going? Obviously can't do all the touching and kissing and everything, so, but obviously you've run a campaign successfully. What are you doing differently? And we like to see what's going on with get a perspective of all the candidates, what their take is on COVID and their campaign and what's going on.
Well, I think the hard thing is COVID has affected how people get their information. The majority of people are stuck to their televisions and watching a really, no matter what station you listen to, a cyclical news pattern of really kind of depression a little bit.
Yes.
Like we're looking at death tolls and we're looking at this partisan debate of should we open, should we not open.
Exactly.
But but in terms of a campaign with COVID, I mean, obviously things change. There's no more in-person events. There's no ability to meet and greet voters. People that are watching this video, I usually could be at a function. I mean, you guys host great meetings that I've never been able to fully engage in due to the nights of my commission meeting.
Yes.
Which is hard.
No, and we understand. A lot of people tell us that, but it's one of those things that if we pick Thursday, then Thursday, there's something on Thursday.
Every day there is something you come to learn. But during the campaign, I'll give you an example of before COVID, pre-COVID, I was out every night of the week. Every night of the week, I was at a meeting, whether it was a city meeting, whether it was a political meeting, a campaign meeting, a service meeting. There's something every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And while this has changed things, and I think it's changed modern day campaigning, because we can't knock on doors and hold fundraisers and hold meet and greets, I think the good news is it maybe grounded us slightly. I gotta tell you, I've spent more time with my kids in the past 3 months than I could have ever imagined.
That is
and I have
correct.
2 little girls that are beyond excited to see me every day. But aside from the homeschooling elementary school kids, which is a little different.
Now you're a teacher, right? Everybody has to be a teacher.
Not just a teacher, you know, a cafeteria worker, a gym teacher, you know, a principal.
It's a special shout out to all those teachers, because now we all know how hard it is.
Oh yeah, my wife's a 4th grade teacher. So
okay, so she knows a little bit.
Yes.
So I want to allow you. Obviously, you're running for the state prosecutor's office. I mean, the state attorney's office, which you prosecute people. So I want to give you these last few minutes to give your closing argument to the public on why they should vote for you, or why you're the best candidate in this race.
Absolutely. Listen, we're in a unique situation in Broward County right now. We've had the same state attorney for over 4 years. Some of the policies that we believed in the 70s, 80s, and even early 90s that we thought kept us safer, they really didn't. We have the ability right now to move forward in a engaged and innovative fashion on how we can fight crime better and we can serve a community better. I mean, when we talk about these concepts of fighting crime, it's not just about locking everybody up. Those days are gone. We need to be solution-minded and say, how do we solve crime? And part of what I'm bringing to the table is a component of how to really solve crime, how to engage communities, how to educate communities, how to not put a war on drugs. See, a war is a war because it has an ending date. We've had this policy on drugs that we've criminalized behavior for so many people, when we need to be focused on fixing people and getting the help that they need. We need to take a real stance to help people that suffer from substance abuse and people that suffer from mental health issues. We need to focus on real violent crime. We need to focus on computer crime, cyber crime, elderly crime. In Coconut Creek, I have one of the largest senior populations, and they are victimized by phone scammers, by internet scammers, by bad contractors, by people in the community that are bad healthcare workers. We need to focus on protecting our most vulnerable populations, which, if we start that focus, we will be a much safer Broward. So I don't come to this as somebody that has been a prosecutor their whole career. I come from this as somebody that has seen the real criminal justice system, somebody that has seen the inner workings of a city and done everything they could do to make it better. And now I turn to my passion, and that passion is criminal justice. And I believe with the right person, which I believe is me, and I hope to earn your vote at the helm, we can change Broward to not only make it safer, but to make it better.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's great.
The election, when is it?
It's August 18th, 2020 is the primary, and I would love to have your vote. And the most important thing I can tell everybody is in order to stay safe, get on the supervisor's website, request a vote by mail ballot. It's a really easy thing to do. There's a link on my website to do it, but it's the easiest thing to do because you can vote in the safety of your own home with all the kind of the craziness is going on. And I will say, stay safe, wash your hands, take all the precautions you can, because sometimes our own safety, while we don't think we may get sick, we're doing it to protect other people in the community.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vice Mayor.